July 30th. I need to get 2 more points. Or they will not help me pay for it. Yes.
All right, good evening and welcome to the ninth special board meeting. Time is 6:06 p.m. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance and the moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, on item A1 in consent agenda, we're gonna go ahead and pull that one out for discussion. And the rest of the consent agenda, need a recommendation? Yeah, probably for the, I guess, the rest of the consent agenda.
We placed these items under consent agenda with the intent that there be a motion to approve.
Okay.
I move.
There's a motion by Dr. Mary to approve items on the consent agenda,
Second.
second by Mr. Guerrero. All in favor?
I oppose.
Favor? Okay, motion carries. Letter A, we go back to letter A1 now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, letter A1, business and finance, the approval to renew learning.com for a 4-year contract agreement at a discounted price per year.
Yes,
Is
sir.
this,
Behind, members of the board, behind tab ABF1, you find the supporting or the backup material related to this item. We are asking that you consider approving the renewal of the contract, of a 4-year contract with learning.com. They are offering a discounted rate if we act this time. And Mr. David Chavez is here to answer questions and or to provide additional backup information on this recommendation. Mr. Chavez.
Committee board members, president, superintendent.
Are we presently using this
This was,
program?
Yes, we are, sir.
Okay, all campuses?
The majority of the campuses, yes.
How does this compare to, I know that we, about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, approved the ICE station through the curriculum department. How does this compare? Is it a comparable program? Is it something that's gonna be used side by side? Is it something?
Well, learning.com is more for the literacy skills, the literacy digital skills that we're trying to implement in district-wide. I know some of our high school students can't even type or research, so we need to come back to reality and make sure that they get those skills. Once they graduate, they can use those skills wherever they go.
your notes here indicate that for the past 5 years, the cost of this contract has been $90,000 per year.
That's correct.
$90,737.50. What is being proposed includes a discount price if we contract for the next 4 years, a discount of $13,847.50, correct?
That's correct.
So if this contract is approved, the cost then would go down to 76,890,000.
That's correct.
$76,890, period. And an added feature will be that it provides for us a learning tool to comply with David's Law, which already is in effect. Districts must comply with this law, which requires instruction to all students on safety and cyberbullying. And I know the elements were in your backup materials. There are two other facets of David's Law that are covered if this contract is accepted, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Cyberbullying prevention, online safety, and digital citizenship. We'll be able to provide those lessons.
That's what they said. If we make a commitment, 4-year commitment with them, they will provide that curriculum for both high schools at no cost.
What about training?
They will give us training.
We've had a training with elementary lab managers, and all the MPTs in the district have had training on this. I just want to also add that this is the state-adopted curriculum for technology applications, K through 8.
Okay.
This is-
So basically, this program has already been in effect from kindergarten to 8th grade, and now we're just reciprocating it, I mean, moving it up to the high school.
To comply with David's Law, yeah. They threw it on in addition with
I
this.
kept going through this, and I mean, for the life of me, I wasn't sure whether, is this a new program we're just adding on, you know, or is it an existing program that we just want to have a continuation? Because, you know, it's a new program that we're adding on, you know, we're asking our teachers to, and our staff to, you know, we're going through budget cuts, you know. I don't want to add another program that's going to be a meaningless program out there that people aren't going to be using, you know. If it's just something that is.
It is required by the state of Texas. Technology applications is a requirement. We must provide that curriculum to our students, and this is the state adopted material that we adopted for that. So, yeah, and we do provide training, more so this year because of David's Law and E-rate and all that. We are providing some more training, and Learning.com is gonna come down to our technology conference in August and give some more training for our teachers during that conference, and we'll set some more trainings up to expand on it some more.
How well is the training attended? And how are we going to be assured that it will be implemented? In other words, you train somebody, but are they following through?
Yes, we are, and we're also working hand in hand with curriculum and instruction department. And we are very closely working on that and getting all the presenters at this time so that we can provide all the training for the teachers on August 23rd.
No, but also, how are we going to be assured? Like, is there a follow-up? You know, because it's like with the iStation, when we approved it, I asked at our meeting, how are we going to know if it's being implemented? How much of it is being used?
Yeah, we can
As far
provide
as
those.
like,
Dr. Mary.
like data, we need information, okay, is it justified? So how are we going to know if this is really?
It
Because
is.
it's per year.
Yeah, it is part of.
If I may. Dr. Mary,
Yes, ma'am.
principals are expected to and are very vigilant about calling for reports periodically to see how much it is being used, to what extent, and what are the growth patterns of students who are using these, this particular learning tool. So it's built in. The assurance that there is follow-through is built in the reports that are reviewed by principals. This report, like the iStation report, like the Imagine Math report, every one of these educational resources offers analytical data, reports at any time. They can be configured however it is that the principals and or teachers want to call them up. So the assurance is built in, that yes, in fact, these tools are being used.
Okay.
I think, going with what Dr. Ray was saying, I think the reassurance that we were saying, hey, we've got statistics and data that is reflecting that since we've been using the program, we started here now the kids are at this level,
Yes,
and,
sir.
you know, there's a markable, improvement in their scores.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
that's what we'd like to see.
And we'll be assessing fifth grade and eighth grade to determine, okay, from kinder to fourth grade, are they able to master the assessment in fifth grade, and then from sixth and seventh to eighth grade. So we're all gonna have that data available to you.
If I might also add, this is part of the House Bill 5 community student engagement
Right.
for the section for technology.
Yeah, that's
So they have to comply with that.
Right,
It will
So
document
it
in
meets
House Bill 5.
multiple needs throughout the district.
that's good.
Yeah, and we're trying to just be creative and try to save the district money, so with this discount, we can,
The discount, is that we're still, are we going to pay the 70, because I think it was 90,000, and here's a discount, it's gonna go down to 72 or
76,
76.
76.
Yeah, will that be a yearly?
Yearly.
Okay, we're not gonna pay the 300,000
No,
all
sir.
at one chunk.
No,
Oh, no, no, sir.
it's a yearly thing.
Okay.
And
And
it's
those
gonna
are the
be,
questions we have.
we're gonna be using the instructional material allotment with that.
Okay, what,
The IMA funding from the state.
That's okay for this.
okay, so that's pretty much coming out of like a
Textbooks.
Mr. Chavez, and anybody else coming forward with programs, considering that we have to, you know, where we're under constraints with we're looking at our budget, to go in on a 4-year term kind of concerns me. And I get the sales pitch of, hey, buy it in the term package and we save X amount of dollars. But I hear a lot of times about many programs that are wasteful and costing the district and not utilized. And I've been looking out at the audience, hoping I could get a little reaction from them, whether it's a thumbs up or thumbs down, even though that's not a very scientific way of making judgment here. But I do get a feel from the crowd when they're here about these things. So I'm very concerned on a 4-year commitment, but I really would like in the future data prior to coming to a board meeting so that we can really make a sound judgment, because you're asking us to spend some serious money here for a long period of time, and if it's not following through, we're stuck with this. We're committed to this for the duration. That is my concern before I vote on that.
Okay.
And I think, and your point is well made, Mr. Billman, that I think you will see more support data being presented to you as the board moves in along the continuation of Lone Star governance. When staff begins the monthly reports to you on the progress being made on each of the student outcomes that have been identified by board, at those meetings, at those presentations, staff will be bringing these reports, and so you will hear more of that. But to bring comprehensive data at the time when programs are being requested for purchase, that too can be built in. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
It's a motion by Mr. Guerrero to approve the renewal,
Second.
I'm sorry,
second by Dr. Mary.
I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. I have a question. Learning.com, you said it's being used in middle schools also?
Middle schools, yes, for tech apps.
Is it through the career portal?
No, it's a technology application.
Career Portal also has access to, the teachers have access to it
That's what I
also.
was gonna ask.
Mainly the 7th grade tech apps teachers,
Okay,
that is available for the Career Portal students.
okay. It goes through that class.
Okay, there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Favor.
Okay, I'm gonna vote in favor. Anybody opposed?
I'll vote in favor.
Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
Okay, we're up in executive session. Okay, we have scheduled executive session. I believe there is nothing that needs to be covered in executive session, so we're not gonna go into executive session. So basically, we're just gonna skip right on down to the adjournment of the special board meetings, so I need a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Motion by Dr. Mary to adjourn,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Billman, all in favor?
Favor.
Favor? The motion carries, meeting is adjourned. Second part of the meeting today, which is the board workshop. It's posted for 6:30, so we're gonna take about a 9-minute break, and then we're gonna come back at 6:30. We also have Mrs. Reina that's going to be coming on at 6:30 through for the phone. She wants to hear the presentation on the phone. So we got about 9 minutes, then we'll get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
How are we going to do
Okay, we are,
She's already on.
okay, we're about right on schedule. It's about 6:32, so we're gonna go ahead and start the budget workshop. We don't have to call anything to order or anything, right? Get going. All right, Ms. Cancino, you may go ahead and proceed.
All right, thank you, sir.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
For the record, you want to introduce the back. Just right now.
Okay, for the record, I'd like to let y'all know that Ms. Reina is here. Although you can't see her, she can hear you, and you can probably hear her. She's gonna be on with us by phone. So,
Hi everyone, thanks for working with me. I had to go out to Washington DC this week for work, but be listening and getting as much as I can.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you, ma'am.
Reina. We appreciate your making the effort. We feel for you having to be at the nation's capital, but I know you will represent us well.
I'm coming back tomorrow.
All right.
okay,
All right.
we're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Dr. Leo, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the budget workshop number 3, which we are dedicating to our health insurance fund. Some of the things that I'll be discussing today is, one, the status of the fund for the current year, where we're at through the end of the month, what we are projecting for the end of the planned year, as well as some of the options that we have available that could potentially save the district some money in the plan. So the first thing I'm gonna go over is the health insurance fund and how it's structured and what are some of the fees that go out of this fund. So we are a self-funded health insurance program. What that means is that we collect from the employees, the employee contribution, we put in the employer benefit portion, and that in essence makes up the fund, the revenues, everything that comes in. So we hire an administrator for the program, for our health insurance program, and that currently is Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have 3 plans. We have a medium, a high, and a premium plan. The district, from the money that we collect, we pay Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they in turn pay the claims. They pay the doctors, the hospitals, everybody out of that money, so we directly contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield. The claim cost can vary from week to week depending on the usage. And the district also has a stop-loss insurance to protect us against excess risk for catastrophic illnesses. So what it does is that after a certain amount, that stop-loss insurance kicks in. So if you have somebody that has a very high, a very expensive illness that may be hospitalized for a long time, it can run in excess of $1 million, so we have that additional insurance. So those are some of the costs that also come out of the insurance. It just doesn't just pay for claims, it pays for all these administrative fees, and for that stop-loss insurance. So basically, that is a very short description of what the health insurance plan program does. So the funding, like I mentioned, it is made up of 2 major components. The employer contribution, what the district puts in, which is $505 for each employee enrolled in the insurance program. And the employee contribution varies depending on plan and tier that employees are enrolled. And all that makes up the health insurance fund and the total contributions or revenues for the program. The contribution rates, like I mentioned earlier, is 505 for the employer. For the end of the year, it is estimated to be at $14.7 million that the district puts in. The employee contributions vary, and you have there the premiums and the participation in the different tiers. So we have the three major plans, which are the medium plan, the high plan, and the premium plan. You have the different tiers, the employee only, employee and child, 1 to 2 children. The employee and children, for those employees that have 3 or more. Then we have the employee and spouse and the employee and family. And then depending on the coverage level that you have or the plan, it's the different premium. The medium plan is the most popular plan. We have 2,121 employees enrolled. We have a total of 2,439, I believe total.
How much?
2,439 total employees enrolled. And that's how they're divided. The majority of them being employee only, and I don't have those figures, but I believe it's 1,400 for the employee only medium plan. About 1,562 employees enrolled. That is the largest group. You have the different premiums there, the least expensive being the $15 for the employee only at the medium plan, and it ranges all the way to the premium employee and family at $860.
And these are the figures that an employee pays?
Yes, ma'am, these are employee rates only. This does not factor in the 505. If you wanted the cost of it complete with the employer portion, then the cost of that medium plan, that the employee only pays $15, it actually costs $520. The district pays $505, the employee pays the $15. So for all those at the 505, and that's the true cost of that plan at that different level. So here is, and I did have a breakdown, here is the current participation by plan. The medium plan has employee only at 1,525. The high plan has employee only at 171. You see there at the bottom, the medium plan has 2,121 total participants, and the high plan has 310. So by far, the medium plan has the most participation, and the employee only has the most within that plan. The second being the employee and child, and then the employee and family. The other plan is the premium, has 8 participants.
Does the employee
Yes,
and
sir.
family include the husband and all the kids?
Yes. So currently, these are the benefits that our 3 different plans offer. If you look at the medium plan, again, at the top, I put the number of people enrolled, employees enrolled in each plan. Our medium plan, the most popular, has a deductible of $750 with a family deductible of $2,250. Has a co-insurance at 70/30. What that means is that after you need your $750, then the plan will pay 70% and then you will pay 30% on that medium plan. It has office visit copay of $25. It has an emergency room copay of $100, and then you pay, the plan will pay 70%, the employee will pay 30% of the cost. Urgent care is a $50 copay, and the maximum out of pocket is $3,250 for employee only and $6,750 for family. What does that maximum out of pocket mean is once you combine once you pay the $3,250, then the plan will cover it 100%. So the deductible, the $750, once you meet that, the plan pays $70. Once you meet the $3,250, the plan covers at 100%. And then on the bottom, I put the rates again, so you don't have to be flipping pages, so you can see the cost, the $15 buys you all those benefits. And then you have the high plan, has a lower deductible at $450 and $1,350 for family. The co-insurance is a little higher at 80% and 20% for the employee. The co-pays are $20 for the office visit, and then the rest stays the same, except the maximum out of pocket goes down to $1,950, and you have the premiums on the bottom. And then the premium plan that has the 8 employees has no deductible. It has an 80/20, and it does have an office visit for $20 to see a physician or a specialist. It's just $20. There is no distinction between a primary physician and a specialist. And the maximum out of pocket is $2,000. Once you pay the $2,000, the plan will cover it 100%.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Looking at this max out of pocket on that line,
Yes, sir.
you have the medium plan, the high plan, the premium plan. Is the premium plan correct?
You know what, I looked at it, I saw the 13,000, on the benefit book, so I questioned it myself because it seems excessive being the premium plan, so I don't know if we have a typo on the benefit booklet, so I'll find out on that. My assumption would be that it is a typo, given the cost of it, and it's the high end. Yes, the 13,000, yes, sir. And then the premiums are there at the bottom, so. The next thing that we did is that we looked at neighboring school districts that were comparable in size to Donna ISD. Mission is about the same size. Our neighbor, Weslaco, and Harlingen were the three districts that we looked at. And what we did is that we compared our median plan and we picked a plan that they have that matches the benefits that our lowest plan has. And we compare the premiums the employee pays and the employer contribution is on top. So for Donna ISD at the very top, you have the $505 that we contribute. Then Harlingen contributes $421.61 towards the health insurance. Mission $364.26 and Weslaco $470. And then the cost for employee only for Donna ISD is $15, and then you can see across Harlingen for the same benefits that we pay $15 for the Harlingen is $135. Mission ISD is at $97 and Weslaco is at $9. For employee and spouse, it's $279. Harlingen is at $747. Mission $584.30, and for Weslaco it's $422. For employee and child, the Donna ISD is at $183. Harlingen ISD is at $636.26. Mission does not offer two different choices for employee and child. They just have one plan, one tier at employee and children. And Weslaco is $177. The employee and children is $269.52. For Donna ISD, Harlingen $636.26. Mission is $481.50, and Weslaco is at $346. And the employee and family plan for Donna ISD is $440. Harlingen ISD $970. Mission ISD $973, and Weslaco at $730. So we just wanted you to see what the rates are in neighboring school districts that are not only just neighboring, but that compare in size to the districts.
Ms. Cancino.
Yes, ma'am.
So at employee only, Weslaco employees pay less, or employee only, but all other categories, our employees pay less.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we're looking to the neighbor to the east, and if we look at Mission, which is a district comparable in size, our employees pay less.
Yes,
Their
ma'am.
contribution is less, and the same holds true for Harlingen.
Yes, ma'am.
So our rates are comparable and in many cases better.
Favorable.
What it is that the employee pays, and that the district pays more, Donna ISD pays more than these others.
Correct.
We contribute a larger amount. Just want to make that point.
The district is the one that contributes, Donna ISD is the district that contributes the most amongst the Region 1 school districts at $505. So the cost of insurance, it's been in the news for years with the Affordable Care Act and a lot of legislation and Congress back and forth is because of the rising cost of health insurance. And some of them came about the Affordable Care Act and some of the things that it mandates. One of them is elimination of the maximum, the lifetime maximum. That's eliminated in the program. So now before self-funded programs had, we won't pay more than $1 million for a person. Well, that went away. So in turn, it makes the insurances increase the cost of insuring people. So it trickles down to everybody, and it's been in the news a lot because it is a reality. Insurance is very expensive, it is a very expensive business, and in general, I think TRS every year has an increase in premiums.
Yes.
From 19% to, I believe, 28%, it ranges depending on the year. So it is the trend in insurance costs.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yes.
So, I am actually from Wesco. I have family members that work for Wesco ISD. I do have friends that work for Harlingen CISD, for Mission CISD, and my family in Wesco ISD, they hate their $9 plan. They say that they have the most horrible plan. They're discontent with their structure. Everybody else that I've spoken to, they like our plan. They said, you guys in Donna have the best plan in the entire valley. If whatever your district is doing, y'all have the top notch of the entire valley. And this is from one span to the other side.
And I will tell you that I agree myself. I've been, I worked at several districts in different regions, not just in South Texas. And when I signed up as a new employee, and I looked at your base plan was the highest plan that the other districts I worked at offered. So I was very surprised with the benefits and the premium when I saw it. So it is correct. It is also recently, the district also hired an insurance consultant, and based on his evaluation so far, and keep in mind, it's only been 3 days, Friday, that we worked with the consultant Friday, and Monday and today, and we put in a lot of long hours with risk and management and safety department today and over the past few days, actually. And it is also his belief that the plan that we carry, it is very rich in benefits. And that is the reason why every year we end up having to move money out of the general fund to help pay for all these benefits. So we discussed that we have 2,439 employees that contribute into the plan. But the plan actually has 3,979 covered lives or participants. So employees are the 2,439 that contribute into the plan. But then our employees that have the employee and children, or employee and family, employee and spouse, add on their dependents, and we have spouses, 230, and we have dependents, 1,310. So the plan covers 3,979 lives.
How many employees do you have?
We have about 2,450, 2,500, sorry. We have a participation of 95% of our employees. So 95% of the employees of Donna ISD are enrolled in the health insurance plan.
We can assume that the remaining 5% are covered under some other plan.
Right, maybe with a spouse's plan, or Medicare, or through the marketplace. So yes, they have other insurances, but that is a very, very high participation rate. September through May 2018 contributions, employer, the district has put in $10 million towards the health insurance fund, and the employee contribution is at $1.9 million. So far in revenues, the health insurance plan has had $11.9 million in revenue. The cost of health insurance, as I discussed earlier, some of the things that we pay out of those. Some of the costs that go out of this fund are not just to pay the claims. That is by far the largest expense that we have. But we also pay the pharmacy claims. We pay administrative fees to Blue Cross Blue Shield for running our health insurance plan. The stop loss insurance is actually it's very costly insurance, and we also pay for chronic disease management. So just so you get an idea of what is paid out of this fund.
Who is it that manages the stop loss?
It is also Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yes, ma'am. We are estimated the plan year end and what it looks like, so right now, we have put into that pot, we are estimating that we will put into that big pot of our health insurance fund, $17.4 million, and we are estimated that we are going to pay out, $21 million. So that puts a deficit of $3.6 million. What does that mean? We can't have that fund operating already because we need money to pay Blue Cross Blue Shield for all those claims. So what we do is that we transfer money out of the general fund to cover for any losses that we have in the fund. The health insurance fund projected, here I have actual for the past 3 years. You'll see the total revenue. This is the money that came into the plan for 2015, was at 11.8. Total expenditures were $17.8 million, and the fund had an operating loss of $6 million. And you'll see at the bottom, the employer contribution at the time was $335. So the following year, the district realized that the deficit, the $6 million that needed to be transferred in. So you'll see the following year, the employer contribution increased to the $505, and that helped cover some of those, you'll see the total revenue increase, so that helped cover those losses. If you'll see in 2016, total revenues were almost at $19 million, and total expenditures were almost $21 million. So that year, the district had a loss of $1.9 million. Compared to the year before, it was a lot less, and the reason being that that's when the district started putting in $505 towards the employer contribution. Last year, for 2017, we had total revenues of $17.6 million, and we had total expenditures of $21.1 million. There was a need or a loss to transfer money in from the general fund of $3.5 million. The employer contribution sustained at $505. For this coming year, we are estimating that we will put in $17.4 million towards the insurance fund or collect in revenues, employer contributions. We are estimating, now this is an estimation, $21 million expenditures for the end of the year. So that puts us at a negative of $3.5 million that will again need to be transferred out from the general fund to the health insurance fund. And this year, our current contribution, it stays to remain the same at $505. So for the past few years, if we add up the 2015 and 2016 and 17, which are actual losses, they are recorded in our books. The district put out from the general fund balance $11.4 million. If we add up what we are projecting at $3.5 million, then we will be at $15 million over a 4-year span. So the health insurance fund outlook for next year, and these are just estimates. We are very, very early stages of talking to our insurance consultant and looking at all these numbers. So I want to make that disclaimer. These are very rough numbers. We did use market trend data to project out expenses. So for 17-18, we have employee count at 2,420. We are projecting to remain the same for next school year. We estimate revenues to remain the same at $17.4 million. In expenses at $21 million this year ending, and for next year based on market trends, and I have that data for medical, we did a 7.7% increase, and for prescriptions we did a 10.3% increase, and a 15% increase in our stop loss insurance. So that came up to almost $23 million. So for this year, we have that deficit of $3.5 million. For next year, we are projecting a deficit of almost $5.4 million.
That is if nothing changes.
If nothing changes, that's correct. That means that we do nothing to the employer contribution and nothing to the employee contribution, and no plan redesign to potentially save the district some money on what we pay in benefits. So in order to cover that $5.4 million, we will need an increase of 28% in revenues.
Ma'am, so when you say expenses, we're talking about claims?
Claims, we're talking claims, pharmacy, stop loss insurance, administrative fees, everything that gets paid out of that fund. It's all inclusive.
But the stop loss and the administrative, does that change from month to month? It's not.
It varies, it is very constant though, looking at it, the administrative fees per month are between 97,000 and 96,000. And for the stop loss, they range around 165,000 per month, so they're very consistent. So I feel comfortable projecting out for the remainder of the year because they have been very consistent. But the stop loss insurance is very costly. That is one of the things that we are revisiting right now and see how we can modify it. And see if we can lower that cost and maybe the administration cost also. So we are very early on in looking at putting together a request for proposals. We are hoping to be able to advertise this weekend so that we give all the companies enough time to prepare a proposal and hopefully turn it in by July. July 20th, I believe, would be the deadline to turn in, to close the RFP. It will give them 4 weeks, the companies, to evaluate and make proposals.
How many catastrophic cases does the district carry?
I don't have that number.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
I've been with the district for a really long time, and it seems like every time we've gone for vets and we've gotten different insurances,
Yes, ma'am.
we have been left with insurances that they're horrible. And the only one that's ever worked for us has been Blue Cross Blue Shield. Last year or 2 years ago, when we had this other insurance, I don't even, True Benefit, oh my God. I was still paying LabCorp because they forgot to send my paperwork. I mean, the insurance forgot to send my paperwork to LabCorp. I owe $2,000 worth in lab. Good thing is that I took the initiative and I fixed it myself because I'm not gonna pay the $2,000 if I'm paying my monthly insurance. So we really have to be wise. I understand it's all about money, but when we're taking these bets in, is it gonna be worth, the employee having to, is it more beneficial for the employee? Or is it just because we're trying to get a cheaper rate when it comes to?
I'm gonna be honest with you, we will look at costs, given the situation of not just the health insurance fund, but the district financial status as a whole, as a district. So cost will be a factor. Am I saying it's the only factor? Absolutely not, but I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't look at cost as well as the integrity and the reputation of the provider. So everything will be taken into account. Unfortunately, I think we're very short on time. We should have started this process a while back, so that way we gave companies a lot of time to really look at what they were gonna propose, have more time to not only look themselves, but to evaluate our data and come up with better proposals. And if in instance, we don't agree with any of them, we can go out and look for new ones.
And why is it that we start so late? Because I was chosen to be in the committee, the insurance committee. We met in May, which was 2 weeks before we were out of school, or the first month of May, I'm not really sure. But if this is an issue that we've been dealing with for many years, why is it that we make this committee at the end of the year when we're already gonna go on vacations? People are gonna assume that we're not gonna come to our board meetings, or we're not gonna come to these meetings. I mean, if it's been an issue, why is it always that we wait and wait and wait? And then we are the ones, I know you just got here, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying
that's a good disclaimer. I was not gonna say that. I was gonna say that it is a process. It is not just let's put out an RFP and it goes out and it's advertised and we're done. There is a process in place. I feel, and I think we all feel the same way, administration and the board. I think we're all on the same page where this needs to be addressed. It needs to be professionally looked at. I can't stand here and tell you, I know about deductibles and I know about co-insurances because I've been fortunate enough to have worked in this business for a while, but am I an expert? By no means. Would I feel comfortable making a recommendation myself as the finance person on health insurance? By no means. So what we did recommend and the board approved at the last board meeting was an insurance consultant that we've been working with Friday, Monday, and Tuesday today for 3 days. 3 days, and I'll tell you that he is fantastic. We've done a lot of work. We've seen a lot of numbers. We've seen all this trend, and a lot of things are starting to make sense and put together. But it is a process, and we are very much dedicated, not only in the business office, but risk and safety. I know that they came in on Friday, when we were all off, and we worked on this, with the gentleman. He flew in from Dallas, and we met, and we all worked together, and I think we are going in the right direction. We are looking at everything, and he's opening our eyes into some of the things and fees that we can negotiate. So I feel that we have an advocate in this person that will go out there, not only put our RFP proposal together, but go out there and negotiate with companies in a way that I am not an expert to do.
And Ms. Cancino, and
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you for your response. And it is unfortunate that we had this delay, but we're at this point now, so let's look at what it is we can do, what it is we can propose. There is still time. And we are working with that consultant, and we'll rely on him greatly for expertise in that industry, which we don't understand. It is very, very complex. And so we can continue. I think Dr. Mary may have had a comment.
No, that I'm glad to hear that we have such an interest, because we've been trying to work on this since last year. You know, we've been trying to get some of these numbers and meet with, people to discuss what needed to be done.
Okay, one other comment, and this goes back to the Blue Cross Blue Shield mentality. If you're not going to open it up to the market, then you are subject to whatever they want to charge you. So the competition is healthy. The other thing I'm gonna say is, I'm a retired teacher, and our insurance is Aetna. And if Aetna is good enough for the state of Texas, I think it would be good enough for Donna ISD. So, when we're looking at things, if you're saying, well, we're just gonna take Blue Cross Blue Shield, which has been the case for years, they basically set the market at whatever they want, and they don't negotiate with you. Because they have this mentality that your employees are gonna demand Blue Cross Blue Shield, then you're gonna have to pay for the premium. So the competition is good. We're not gonna bring you a lowball insurance company, we guarantee you that, okay? It will be a reputable company. It might be Blue Cross, we don't know. It depends if they work with us. Thank you.
So where are we heading, Ms. Cancino?
Okay, so, like I mentioned,
I have a question, I'm
Yes.
sorry, before we end. So the consultant that you are currently working with, is he aware of like the multitude of concerns of the employees? In reference to, like the committee and us as employees, we have never dealt with this consultant before, and a change of insurances does cause these type of frustrations within, amongst us. I go to HEB to go get my, my medication, and they're like, oh my goodness, you're from Donna ISD. You guys change insurances every single year. We have such a problem with you guys with Donna ISD with your prescription. That's pretty sad. I'm sorry, but that's pretty sad for them to
Really?
tell
We're
me
not-
straight out,
I need to go visit.
As far as
I thought you said we had good insurance.
I
I know.
They don't know it at HEB.
Hold on, Dr. Mary's got the
We
floor.
haven't changed, I don't think the district has changed the prescription plan, have they?
The prescription plan, the last.
No, we changed it last year, but it hasn't. Wesico changed it in January, and that was even worse.
Yeah.
Because, everything, they wanted us to use a list from Walmart. Okay, so if we're given a list, me as a provider, and you're the patient, I have to choose from 2 pages. That's all I was given. It doesn't matter what you're allergic to, this is what they said we had to work with. Everything else had to be prior authorized. And a clerk is the one that decides what to prior authorize. Not a physician, not a nurse practitioner, it's a clerk. So Wesico ISD changed their formulary in January. TRS changed in January. So most of us don't have any direct input as to as far as these formularies. I don't think we've changed it in the district. We changed it last year.
I don't know, I don't have.
I think in the summer.
We have the same pharmacy carrier as West Supply do this.
But we didn't change it in January.
Ours changed, actually it's changed since October.
formulary has changed about 3 times.
Okay, were the employees,
Yes. So
notified?
the employees that were affected by the change were getting letters. They were sent letters.
Because I know we had a lot of issues, it's not covered, it's not covered.
Right,
And
so
see, I didn't even know,
so
and I'm on the board, I didn't even know that we had so many changes.
We
It
did-
is a
we got
challenge,
several
so,
calls from employees, and I know Dr. Beal got calls, we got calls about changes.
so maybe with this new consultant, we can be kept informed if there's changes?
Yes, ma'am. We'll take note of that. I was at the 28% increase in revenues in order to cover that $5.4 million anticipated deficit. So some of the ways that we can, or possible changes, some of the things that we can consider or up for consideration now that we're looking at our insurance for next year are our plan design changes. That means that we make changes to our deductible. We are also discussing the possibility of adding a specialist copay in addition to a PCP copay. Changes in the emergency room copay, and offer 2 different plans instead of the 3. We have very little participation in the premium plan, so we feel that there is no need to have that plan, and there will be some possible savings by eliminating that plan. Other options besides the plan redesign are the change to employee and employer contributions, expand the wellness and preventive education program, and increase the employee awareness on how to effectively utilize benefits. And of course, the big ones are gonna be the plan change, and the increase in either employee or employer contributions. So we did reach out to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I wanna make a disclaimer before I go this, because these are just samples, these are not set in stone. We are just some of the things that we've looked at, and to give you an example of what a plan redesign would look like. So this is our medium plan, which is our base plan. This is the one where we have the most participation. We have 2,121 employees enrolled. And there on the current, you have the current benefit level for that plan. You have a deductible of $750, and family out of pocket, a family deductible of $2,250. And then you have different options. And you have potential savings under each option. Option 1 would be to increase the deductible to $1,500. And the family deductible to $4,500. Increase the coinsurance from the 70/30 to 80/20. Create that specialist copay at $45 across the board for all 3 options. And add an emergency, or increase the emergency room copay for that option 1 at $500, and then the insurance would pay 80%. For option 2 at $200, and option 3 at $200. The urgent care, increase it to $100 for option 1, and $50 for option 2 and 3, and that could possibly generate savings of $936,000 for option 1, $732,000 for option 2, and $788,000 for option 3.
And Ms. Cancino,
Yes, ma'am.
each of these options, the proposal would be to change the benefits, but not the employee
Correct.
contribution?
Correct, this is only addressing a plan change, a plan design change, not employee contribution.
Do we have an idea, Ms. Gonzalez, do we have an idea how many people go to that, like the emergency room of the district? I mean, how many times do we pay claims on people going to these emergency rooms? And
So exact count of how many ER claims, off the top of my head, I don't have it,
Yeah,
but
right.
one of the things that they did, when we closed out the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan in September of this past year, we looked at the overall year expenses, claims, and where they were being paid, and we did have a high utilization in ER services for non-ER related, services, right? So it did seem like we were utilizing ER services more so than compared to other plans.
Yeah. I know that's one of my things that I know that I've
And
heard.
those costs are higher.
Yes.
Yeah, there were 3,000 to 5,000, or
Yes.
up to 20,000 for ER visit.
And I would also say that the $500 copay, it is, you go and look at TRS, the TRS Active Care Plan for active teachers, not the retiree plan, that is their copay. It's a $500 copay. And it was also added for the same reason to help curtail some of those expenditures going towards the emergency room, for non-emergency room visits. So those are the potential savings. The highest one being the option one with $936,000. Again, this does not address employee contributions. This is only savings based on plan redesign. Looking at the high plan, we also have the three options. The option one is similar to the option two on the other plan, is doubling up the deductible from $450 to $900. Option two, $750, and option three, $500. The co-insurance will stay the same at all levels or all options. If you look at the office visit, we are also recommending or looking at adding that specialist copay at $40, $40, and $35. The emergency room, again, it's also being addressed in these, and the urgent care is staying the same at $50. And that option one gives you a possible savings of $310,000. For the total, again, this does not address employee contributions. This is only plan redesign. The most, if we went with option one for both, it would be a little under $1.3 million in savings. Is that on a yearly basis? This is on a yearly basis, yes, ma'am.
So this is taking into effect the 21 employees on the median plan, and then
The
the 310, that would save it like 10%.
Yes,
And combine them both, that would be like 1.2.
yeah, a little, yeah, a
If
little,
everybody stays in the same plans,
yes,
you know, we could save $1.2 million just by plan redesign.
right. What I would like to point out though, now we know those $1.2 million. If we go back to this slide, we are actually needing $5.4 million for next year. So that addresses a part of it. We're still $4 million that we need to look at. So that's when we start having to look at other options, not only in the plan redesign or maybe even being a little bit more aggressive, but also looking at the employee portion and the employee contribution. And as we noted on the other slide where we were comparing to neighboring school districts, you will notice that, you know, they pay a lot more than what we do here. So in keeping with the trend in the industry, the rising health insurance costs, some of it needs to be picked up by the employee as well as the employer. The employer has been picking up that cost, the district, for a while, and not only that, every year we put out more. So it seems like it's $505 that we actually put out, but if you factor in and divide those 3 million or 6, whatever it is, we're looking at $800, $700 that the district actually puts out per employee, if we divide those transfers out also.
I got a question with you, because the median plan will be paying more than the high plan. Now, most people are on the median plan because they can't afford the high plan.
Right.
Yet you're gonna make them pay more.
I didn't put costs on any of them.
I know, no.
No, those are
It says a
savings.
$45 specialist for a median plan, the high plan is paying $40 for a specialist.
Yes, because they pay more money into.
Pay a lot more.
Yeah,
Per month.
yes, because they pay more per month, therefore their benefits are a little better than the other plan.
I want to say something. You're comparing Wesco to what they contribute, which is $470, Donna $505, but there's no comparison on how much teachers get paid.
We're not addressing teacher pay.
Right, but that is an issue, because you can't compare apples to oranges. You're comparing apples to oranges when you're saying, you know what, Wesco pays this, but yeah, how much are the teachers getting paid? You're comparing apples to oranges. You're not comparing apples to apples. Because if you're comparing employee contribution to Donna and Wesco, also compare what the teachers are getting paid. Because that's what it is. You know, Wesco's not gonna complain because they make a lot more money. If you get a teacher who's been working 10 years, how much are they making over there and how much are they making here? How much is a first year teacher making? A 15-year teacher. Then you're comparing apples to apples and saying, comparing the employee contribution.
But for the
I'm
purpose
not gonna
of
answer those questions because we
Yeah,
are
for the
talking about
purpose
the health insurance.
this
I know
discussion.
you're talking about health insurance, and you're also, the next step is, well, we're short $4 million, now we're gonna ask your teachers to pay, or you're gonna ask the employees, you're gonna raise what the employees are gonna have to contribute. So if you're gonna ask us, you're gonna take money, I don't know if we're getting raises or not, but if you're gonna be taking money out of more money, it's gonna be a pay cut. You can't compare two districts. You can't.
Well, you're also taking 5 days out of their salaries. I mean, 5, not yet.
Not for teachers. All the rest employees, yes, but not teachers.
But taking away. Yeah. There is a dilemma because they are now 5 days short on their salary, which now they'll have to be paid.
I agree. This is not an easy decision for either administration, the board, or for anyone.
One of the dilemmas is, do we go with a lower cost insurance and have money to give raises? I mean, there has to be a give and take. I mean, as a district cannot sustain, that's why we're having these workshops and we need the dialogue.
And if I may address, I don't know what West Local pays. I did not prepare to discuss salary, that's not part of the presentation. We're only, and I feel we are comparing apples to apples because I'm only dealing with health insurance and I'm just giving you that portion. The compensation plan, when we do talk about compensation plan, then we will address the pay from Westlaco to Donna to neighboring school districts. So right now, I do feel we are comparing apples to apples. It's health insurance plan to health insurance plan. We also picked the plan that is comparable to the one that we have when we compared. We picked Harlingen's plan that compares to the same benefits in the plan that we have, as well as Mission. So I feel comfortable with our comparison. Is it unfortunate the situation we're in? Absolutely. I'm a very much a pro-employee person. I've always been in every district that I've worked with. Unfortunately, we have limited funds. There's only so much money that can go around. And the district is not gonna generate enough funding next year to, one, keep subsidizing the health insurance above what we do and above the $505. And there is not enough money for everything that we are used to. So we all have to make adjustments. And unfortunately, it seems like it is the perfect storm. You have your rising health insurance costs, plus you have a decrease in enrollment, plus you have an increase in property values, which results in loss of revenue. Everything seems to be coming down at the same time. And if you see, the health insurance plan has been needed to be addressed in past years. It has been pushed forward, and we are at a point that it needs to be addressed. Are we saying we are doing this? We are not saying anything. What we are bringing is information to the board. We have very limited, we have had very limited contact with the expert in the field. We are working towards that. So we just ask for your patience as we ourselves work, and we haven't even received proposals. We haven't even advertised, so we're still pending all that. When we do, it'll be brought to the insurance committee. If you're a member, you will be receiving that email when we get those proposals in. So, yes.
Just, maybe I missed the answer to this at the last meeting, but the 5 days that were voted on last time, they saved us 1.1 million. Is any of that going to help kind of cover this, or is that totally separate into the general?
Well, before we address those savings, there was I believe in the same meeting or before that, we addressed at the previous budget workshop, the loss in revenue that we have of $6 million from our state revenue. So I am not at a point where I feel comfortable giving the public or the board a projected deficit for the school year. We're still working on that. So a $6 million loss in revenue is not necessarily our deficit. It may be more depending on our cost, or it may be less. That's why we are making all these cuts. What we haven't done is put everything together of all the cuts that we've made to say, this is the number that we have. We anticipate having that number by the end of the week, because that's exactly what we're working on, as well as the health insurance. So, yes. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yes.
So this is based upon plan change, correct?
Yes, correct.
Have you run a scenario where you could up the employee contribution and keep what we currently have to see a comparison? Because I would rather pay more
It's
and
more than
keep,
that.
and keep what I currently have, you know, I'm in the high plan.
To be honest with you, if you wanted to keep the benefits as they are, and we need to make up those $5 million for next year, you're looking at a very high increase in rates, yes. So it would have to be a combination of plan redesign and cost, an increase in cost, in contributions. We have not, the other thing that I want to make clear is that these are just scenarios that we ran for you so that you could see what we meant by plan redesign. Nothing's been decided on. We have not even shown these to our consultant. These are the ones that we received from Blue Cross Blue Shield. It may be completely different. It may be not as much, as aggressive. It may be less. He may have other recommendations that may save more money in other areas and not necessarily affect these. So I don't know. These are just examples so that you could see what we mean when we say plan redesign. We have not discussed employer contribution, either an increase or staying the same. But given the fact that we do have all that loss in money, I personally, as the finance person, I would feel uncomfortable recommending an increase in employer contribution at this time. Yes. Go ahead.
Just because we haven't let you get to the end of the presentation, I think, so it might be answered, but is there also examples that you're gonna present today that if we were to do a plan or a plan redesign or not do a plan redesign, but premiums go up based on your examples, what it would be?
Yeah, no, we don't. I've looked at some numbers. I don't feel comfortable putting them out because they are in very rough draft. And that's how they were sent to me. A very rough draft. They are eye openers, I think, for everybody. So we don't want to put them out because that may not be the direction we're going. So, but there is a $5 million deficit that we need to address. So obviously, the cost will be rising for employees in any scenario, I believe. So that is the end of my presentation. I don't have any more slides. I will take more questions if you have any.
I have a question. So, when we asked, Mr. Valentin asked about the ER utilization, because all insurances overall, Medicare, Health Springs, WellMed, all of the, any insurance is looking at the ER utilization and the standalone ER, which there appear to be like an urgent care, but they charge, just walking in the door is $2,000. How to also educate everybody into trying not to, and that's gonna be a huge savings in our claims, which means that we won't be in such a deficit. Is there a way to be able to get that information?
That's one of the initiatives would be, one, to be more aggressive with our wellness plan and make sure that our employees are taking advantage of some of those benefits that are already put into the plans and paid for. And the other one is to educate our employees on the benefits that our plan does provide, so that you know which providers to use, make sure you stay in network. So those would be two of the big initiatives that are not necessarily cost-driven. It's just more of the district educating our employees on what we do have available.
And you know, going back to a lot of the other insurances that when we refer patients, their copay for a specialist is like in the 80s.
Correct. That is.
And a lot of them, even our elderly, their copays are like $50, $70, $75. And they would say, no, I don't need to go. I'll wait another 3 months. And so if it's affecting them and they're having to make all those adjustments and they're 70 and 80 years old, you know, that's why, you know, it's good that we're having this dialogue and looking at a plan redesign.
Yes. I agree. I think one of the two major areas is gonna be the plan redesign, and we will try to tackle as much of that in that area, so the cost doesn't rise as much as we anticipated, because it is to make up the $5 million that we have projected as a deficit. It is a very big increase. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. So we are first going to look at the plan redesign and, not leave a bare bones plan for you, but something somewhere in the middle that I think one is comparable to neighboring school districts. We will also look at the state plan that TRS Active Care has and the actual state of Texas plan and see what benefits they have. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. And again, we're very early on in the planning for the RFP. We should have something for the board as a recommendation by August 20th, that week of August 20th. It is a lengthy process. We have by law have to follow a certain timeline. We have to advertise for 2 weeks. We need to give time for the companies to submit proposals. And then we have an evaluation period after that. And it is a lot of data that we will be evaluating. So it is a time-consuming process. The earliest that we believe we can have it for the board will be on the week of August 20th for recommendation. And again, we will be meeting with the insurance committee. As when we have the proposals for review and we have everything ready, we will be contacting the insurance committee. And if anyone has any questions, at any time, please feel free to call my office.
Sorry, you're never gonna finish. But something just dawned on me, I was kind of thinking, okay, we're gonna have the insurance be sent to the proposal be sent to the insurance committee, and then how much time are we gonna have before we vote on it? Are we gonna see it and then have to be ready to vote on it there and then? Or will we have time to actually sit down and look at the recommendations with other people that we know that are gonna be affected?
Well, the decision,
And I could just clarify a little bit. So it's actually almost like a two-step process, because the review of the bids and bringing recognition to the board in, we're hoping August, that's just to award a carrier, so to speak. Is it gonna be Blue Cross, is it gonna be Aetna, is it gonna be whoever it's going to be? Before that though, we as a district need to decide on a plan design and employer and employee contributions. Because we can't go to, I'll just say for Aetna, we can't go to Aetna in August and say, oh, we don't know yet what our plan design is, and we don't know yet what the district is going to contribute. So the first thing would be to, once we get good, solid plan design options, is to go back to committee, because we did that once already, and the committee decided that at that time they weren't ready to rank the different plan design options. So we're going to take options back to the committee in the process of the consultant putting out the bid, so that when bids do come back, we're hoping earlier, we can tell the consultant and the carrier, this is what Don IUG's plan design will look like, and this is what the district will contribute, and this is what the employees will contribute. So it's a two-step process. And first, we have to decide on a plan design. The board and administration needs to look at numbers and see if there's any money for them to increase employer contributions. Then we will decide on a carrier after that. But one can't happen until the other.
and the plan redesign meeting will be very, very soon, because we need that information before we send out the proposals.
Before the end of June.
Yes, before the end of June.
So you need to meet Thursday.
We need to meet yesterday, yes.
I just raised my hand and I'm not called, but I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
waiting. I had a comment. I know that I never had insurance with my district until my husband retired, and then I had to pick it up. But where he used to work, they used to have, and I know that it's done in other insurances, and it was Blue Cross Blue Shield. They would get all their employees, and all their employees had to have a physical done. And they would all have their physicals, and because of stuff that they would do, like, some would even, joint contests,
Yes.
and, they would lose 5 pounds or whatever.
That is part of the wellness initiative and the
Exactly.
program. Yes.
And the insurance would get, not only the employee would get an incentive, but the insurance themselves. And a lot of times the insurance incentives was like, say, $100 less on their deductible.
So the way some of these wellness programs work is that just for you downloading the app for the health insurance, you get a certain amount of points, and then they add up, and then you get gift cards. Depending on the wellness program, the district, depending on participation on the wellness program, let's say that we have one big campaign. where everybody is encouraged to come and do just a physical, you know, come and check your blood sugar, they'll weigh you, they do biometrics, all that stuff. And then based on the participation on that, and you prove to the insurance, yes, we have a good health wellness program, and we are being proactive in educating our employees and maybe helping them catch some of the illnesses early on so that you save money. They look at that, and then in turn, when they submit proposals, they give discounted rates based on participation.
Okay.
So that is correct.
As a nurse, why do you need to give incentives for people to be healthy?
Because they won't do it otherwise. They won't do it otherwise.
Not only that, guys, but
It is what it is.
I think that the plans that,
That is bad.
the plan she was describing is a fully funded insurance plan.
Correct.
And Donna is not fully funded, we are self-funded, and we take a risk. And that's why the risk is that, what was it, $5-6 million that we're falling behind, is because we said, okay, if we had, the perfect scenario would be, we put $15 million in the bank, and we have $15 million worth of claims, then it zeroes out, and that would be the perfect world. But that isn't what happens.
No, it isn't. So the difference, what he said, is that you can have options. You can have, as a district, you can be self-funded, which is what we have. You can be a fully insured plan, which means that the company, you set out, they send proposals, and you know exactly how much you're gonna pay, and that's it. Whether your claims are less or more than what you pay, you know, some years you have good, some years you have bad, it doesn't matter. You're fully insured. You will not be out anything. And those are easier to manage and to project because you don't deal with the changes as much. You're paying, you already know upfront what your cost is gonna be. And the next one is hybrid, which is sort of what we have, which is a self-funded, but it has a stop loss insurance to help offset some of those costs for catastrophic illnesses. So those are the options that you have, and some districts are with TRS Active Care, which is a fully insured plan. Yes?
First of all, the wellness plan that we have, I mean, everybody knows it's a joke. And we give them, I'm being really true. I mean, I've seen it. You give these people $450, I don't really know how much, let's just say, for them to come up with a wellness plan. And you don't see them at all. Which means our district has just given out money, it's just given it out to whoever says, I'm gonna do the wellness plan, and it never happens. I mean, if we want something to be effective,
then we need
to really make sure that it's effective.
I agree, and I think that should be one of the big initiatives for next year, or, you know, from now on, that we fully educate and implement our wellness plan.
Second of all, I just kinda wanted to throw out there, I had gone to a doctor's appointment, and the doctor says it's gonna be so much for your procedure or whatever it was. And I said, okay. But then I was kind of puzzled by it, so I called my insurance and I was being proactive. First of all, they weren't supposed to charge me or the insurance anything. It was supposed to be, since I already covered in my insurance or whatever. So I think as employees, you need to be proactive, and when you receive a bill and you're kind of questionable about it, just call your insurance and do that, because I had never been so proactive in my insurance until I started having to do like certain things, certain procedures on myself or whatever. And then I was like, wait a minute, like why are they charging, or why are they charging my insurance or whatever? So be proactive. If you see something that's not right, or if you go to the doctor and they're charging you something they shouldn't have, you know, they refunded me my money, and then the insurance is like, you've never had to pay this, and I've had to pay that a couple of times before. So just gotta be proactive. Yeah.
Definitely always look at your statement of employee benefits, your EOB that you received after you've gone to the doctor, had a procedure. You normally get an EOB detailing, review it, make sure that those services are right and that they're being coded correctly. And in some cases, you do get refunded. I've had that instance happen to me as well, so it's always recommended that you review them. Yes, sir.
There are a couple questions. When the deposit is being done into the contribution, where is that contribution, or where is that money being deposited to?
It has a separate fund within the district. It's Fund 753.
And so it's going straightly into the insurance?
Yes.
To the insurance fund?
Correct.
Okay. This is just an FYI, right? This, you know, when the absence of no information, bad information is given, right? We all understand that. It has been brought that in a couple occasions that the district, and this is way before you, right?
So I like that you all make the disclaimers that way.
But it's been brought that occasionally the district hasn't made its full contribution at times.
Okay.
Right, because on a monthly basis, we look at the monthly payout, right? That's what we pay out monthly, right? And on monthly occasion, those months are not as high as summer months, right? Because that's when teachers decide to go and get their, because we're devoted, we decide to postpone those surgeries to the summer, right? And then, of course, physical checkups, my kids already, hey, call the dentist, call the doctor, getting all those stuff, right? So on those months that it hasn't been, contributing that much, right? Now we're talking about we're pulling that money out of the state fund balance, okay? So where from the beginning was that state fund balance started with? Because I've been, anybody older than I am can say this is not the first time we've had this deficit, right? We've had it plenty of times, okay? So we're in a tough situation, but there's still money coming out to this, okay? I just want to make sure, and the board to make sure, that insurance money is going there, because I do not get to determine, my contribution does not get to not be paid, right? I want to make sure the district, if whatever it is, if it's $200, $300, but the district sticks with their end of their bargain, okay? Because that's where money starts to fluctuate. Some money starts to go to different places, all right? Also on the second one, when we look at the insurance costs, and I heard you make a comment that your contribution is higher. And to a certain extent it is, okay? But when you're taking into the account, it is not just 100% in medical bills being paid out. That's also administrative fees that are being paid out monthly, right? So those are costs that cannot be turned over unless we go with a different company.
Correct.
Right? So we gotta be careful in how we're wording and saying that the district, in a sense, that the employees are costing this much money. Now, the health insurance program as a whole, yeah, it is costing money. When I was in the last insurance meeting and I was there with everyone else, I did inform that, yeah, our insurance needed to go up, right? And I don't disagree with that. This has been in the process for a couple of years. The only thing that I do ask, and I look at the board when talking to this, that this, like your attrition is gonna happen over years. It's not gonna happen right away. I hope you look at the insurance process, that if we are gonna have to increase employee contribution or the contribution as a whole, that if our goal is 5 million projected, that we find a phase that we can also supplement so that us as individuals don't take that hit coming tomorrow, right? Because just like everyone else, we make decisions of maybe we bought a new car or a kid just started college or whatever happened. Without this information being brought to us, right? Now you bring it to us, but we already made that decision. So I hope that the board does look and ask that, hey, can we do this in a phase that won't affect that much? Do we know it needs to go up? I support you. But does it have to go up overnight? Just like this attrition is not gonna happen overnight, I hope this insurance phase doesn't happen overnight as well.
Awesome.
And that, I wanted to say, I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate you speaking, because that's what these workshops are for us to hear what you all's thoughts and to hear what information we have gotten and are now getting, because we're learning all this too. We've known about it and we've tried to work on it in the past a year and a half. And now we are really together. We're really unified in having this dialogue. And we know how hard it is,
And let me say something. His dad was the CFO here at one time. So he knows what he's talking about. Yeah.
And I'd like to mention something too. We will do our best, but in order to pay for that bill, the insurance bill, we have to take money from somewhere else. And I have a conscience and I understand where you're coming from. Your point is spot on. That's the predicament that we're in. So we have to take money from something else, we have to take it from something else. The state's not gonna give you any more. We're not gonna be able to raise taxes to subsidize the insurance. So at some point, we have to make a contribution from the employee, and then we have to tighten our belts everywhere else. And then just eventually, get to where we need to get. And you're right, it shouldn't happen overnight, because it's a very big, expense, and it puts you in a bad spot. When you've already got a budget, you've already got things planned out, and then they hit you with something that you have no answer for. We'll do our best to meet you halfway, all right?
I've looked up the question, and I know what Dr. Mercer, and it's a HIPAA thing, but I'd like to see, okay, how many people are on high blood pressure meds, diabetes, all of these factors that go into doctor visits. And when you've got high blood pressure, you got diabetes, that's literally a monthly visit.
Not really. It doesn't have to be.
Well, no.
If the individual
But
goes.
because people don't take control of their health care, a lot of them do go regularly. Because I don't take care of it, it's a regular visit. with these
Also,
guys.
some doctors like to see them monthly.
Yeah, then I can see you every week.
Yeah.
I'll see you on Tuesday. I'll see you on Tuesday.
I go in there once a month because he has to see that I'm still alive, otherwise I'm not going in there.
Yeah,
Okay?
but if you're stable, why do they go every month?
Exactly,
Because
that's
I
how
had
you
people see me, it's like,
know.
oh, the doctor made me go every month. I says, why? You have
Yeah.
120/70.
Yeah.
That's overutilization of that insurance.
Actually, my doc says you're sick because you're here. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not in there.
But yes, you can't really do that, but.
But it'd be interesting to see what.
The claims, they can have the access of the claims.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what factors are making those claims go up.
Okay, do we have any other comments or any other questions?
I just had one question.
Go ahead, ma'am.
That wellness program, how much do we pay for that?
I don't have that figure, Angie, do you?
What wellness program? So whenever they come in and they check our blood and
It's the,
personalized prevention or?
the actual amount that's billed to our insurance that is paid out, I believe it's $75, $75,
Per person?
Right.
How often?
Well, we have it,
Nurses do it.
we've done twice a year.
Twice a year? I mean, would it make sense, that, like, I'm just listening, I mean, for us to be able to come back to work and get cleared, should we have to come back with, that everybody got our physical? That's $150 that we're paying per employee if they participate.
We don't have, not everybody participates, we have about 1,000 people.
Because we're basically, yeah, we do it because, yeah, let's do it because it's there, but I knew it was costing me $150, because I go to my doctor and I get my doctor. I get my physicals every year with my doctor. I mean, shouldn't it be part, if you add up all that money that we add up, $150 per employee, if you were to add that up, how much is it? Versus, you know what, you can't come back to work unless you have your physical preserved from your doctor. No, it's not.
It's free to you.
It's free to you, it's not free to the
But
district.
the doctor will pay you, so understand that, but to me, you're paying, I participate every time they go, I'm paying $150 plus, I go every year to get my physical. It's a double whammy. The people who are going to get that wellness are getting their physicals.
The ones who are going are what?
That's
They will get their physicals, which is true. I didn't hear the last one. So it's like, they're paid twice.
Wellness at the beginning of the
All
year.
right, well, thank you, everybody, have a good evening.
Okay. I think this meeting is
All right, thanks.
I don't think we need to adjourn because it's not a board meeting. But again, I'd like to thank you for coming and giving us your input. We will take everything into consideration. We will try to relay the message to those that were not here. And you might want to talk to them as well and let them know how you feel about certain things that we discussed tonight. Anybody else have anything?
Alicia's still on the line?
Is Alicia still on the line?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
She was here. Okay, that's it for tonight, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Remember on Friday, we're having the superintendent come in at noon. Thank you.
What?